Okay.
So once again, everyone, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. It means a lot to me personally because I enjoy what I do. And let me just say one thing. I hope you like trains because there's a lot of neat stuff here. You know, when you live in Hammonton, I've learned this many years ago. When you live in Hammonton, I'm going to just tell you a little bit about myself, just a little, okay? One of the first things you hear is, so, what Macrie are you?
Oh, yeah.
So, a little background. My mom was Angelina, my dad was Anthony. My dad lived on the White Horse Pike. He was born there, his family lived there. My mom lived on, her maiden name was Valentino. She lived on Washington Street. And yes, the Reading, Atlantic City Railroad, Reading Speedway, as they called it, was about 86 feet from her back door. And my mom is no longer with us, but she had some incredible stories about trains passing through her backyard day and night, weekends, snow, rain, sleet, all kind of neat stuff. So I think a little bit of what I carry with me maybe came from my mom's childhood. So I've lived in Hammonton all my life. I've worked many different places. I worked for 4 other railroads before I started our company. I grew up at the Mazza Apartments, if you know where they are, 3rd and Walmer Street. Lived there from childbirth till the age of 16. It was really a neat place to live. It was very enjoyable. We had some great neighbors, and it was really a different time. The good thing about living there is we had a real good family life with my mom and dad, my brother, and my relatives. And another good thing about living there was it was only 1 block from the railroad track. So you have no idea how many times I parked my Columbia Firebolt bicycle out near the back door at night. If I heard a train, my poor mom would sit us down to dinner. My father worked at night a lot, so he would eat dinner and go back to work. But my mother would sit us down, and I go, Mom, I'll be right back. And she goes, where are you going? I said, I gotta see this train. I just have to. I have to see this train. So I get on my bicycle, and I could make it from the Mazza Apartments to Egg Harbor Road in about 1 minute or less. So, yeah, you know, I mean, you latch on to something you really believe in. So, career-wise, besides trains and railroads, music has played a major role in my life. I started playing guitar. I took guitar lessons at the age of 10 years old, and I was fortunate enough to play lead guitar in probably 6 or 7 rock bands back in the day, late 60s, early 70s. Real quick funny story, then we're going to get into a real good program. We were, our band was playing, I just thought of this today, our band was playing at St. Joe's Gymnasium. It was 1968. So a couple days before the dance, the people that were, whoever was putting the dance together, called us and said, hey, the DJ can't make it. So my bandmates, there were 5 of us, and like I said, I played lead guitar. My bandmates, we got together and we're like, what the heck are we gonna do? So someone said, hey, you have a lot of records, meaning me. So at that dance, I guess it was maybe, I want to say April or May of 1968, I was the DJ at that dance, and I've been doing that ever since. That's 56 years ago. So I still play music. If you need a good DJ, let me know. Anyhow, I did work for a couple of radio stations, the biggest, and one of the nicest jobs I've ever had. I had the pleasure and privilege of working for famous 56 WFIL radio in Philadelphia. I was there 12 years. It was just an incredible time period, meeting people and working with people. I got to meet and kind of hang out with and work with John Lennon from the Beatles. Met him. A mutual friend was real good. I met him and we shook hands and we talked for a little while. But a good friend of mine was very good friends of his. I mean, to the point where they could pick up the phone and talk to each other. So that was one of the highlights. I was an engineer and an audio technician and producer. I was at FIL for 12 years. My railroad career began in 1978. The only railroad in the area that was hiring at that time was short line railroad out in Pennsylvania, and I had a connection there through a mutual friend, and he said, hey, look, if you ever want to get involved with railroad, go talk to these people. And I did, and that was 1978. My first job was a track laborer, and I mean laborer. I did that for quite a few years, and then worked my way up into train and engine service, became a conductor and an engineer, which I still am today. So from 78 till now, that's 46 years in the rail transportation industry. I started Cape May Seashore Lines in 1984. I originated the concept. We ran our first train in 1996. It took 12 years to get that project off the ground, and that was 46 years ago. Now we operate in Cape May County, Atlantic County, passenger excursion trains. We're not a commuter railroad, and we operate freight service to serve several customers. So my interest in trains, and then we get into the program, pardon me, my interest in trains began, oh my gosh, probably when I was 4 or 5 years old. I was very fortunate to have several relatives that worked for the railroad, and my mom and dad and grandfather, his brother, worked for the Pennsylvania Road and Seashore Lines, and my aunt, my dad's sister, were very encouraging. You know what? They found a good way to entertain me, and that was taking me to the railroad track. It was perfect. I thanked them a million times over. It's like my grandfather, for instance, would pick me up at school. I went to St. Joe's School. And not every day, but maybe 2 or 3 days a week, he'd pick me up and we'd go to the railroad yard at 11th Street and sit there and watch. There was always trains. No matter where you went, there was trains. We went there. Winslow Junction was another one of my favorite places. We would go there, and like I said, between relatives that worked for the railroad and actually riding trains at a very young age, it just became part of who I am and what I do, and I still enjoy it. It's tedious at times, and it's a lot of work. It's not for the weak and weary, but if you're passionate about something and you believe in what you do, it's a little bit easier. So I get asked this question all the time. I kind of enjoy it, but sometimes I scratch my head. So people will say, well, why trains? I mean, why not an astronaut, or something like that? Why? Well, honestly, like I said, I've always had a fascination with trains since I was a very young kid. And I guess when you're so young, and I remember my grandfather taking me by the hand, and we would stand at the Hammonton train station or the railroad yard at 11th Street or Line Street, and these trains would just whisk by at 80 miles an hour. And I guess it was a combination of the size, the power, the speed, the functionality, and to see something so powerful that operates on 2 rails that are like that wide, it's pretty impressive, especially as a little kid. So it always stuck with me. And then there's another reason that I like trains. That's me in 1959, Christmas of 1959. It was in the Marjorie Apartments. That was my mom's dining room up until Christmas Eve, and I'm so grateful. I mean that sincerely to my mom and dad for, treating me the way they did, and I really enjoy what they did. And as an aside, I still have every train on that layout.
Really?
So, yeah. Great stuff. Really appreciate it. Let me go back. Before we get into the program, what did I do wrong? There you go. Hey, Greg, this is coming apart.
Oh, the technical expert.
It's open and very good.
Right there.
Yeah, I think it just popped off.
You always had a railroad track here on Christmas Eve. My brother made a little thing.
Thank you so much. Okay, thanks, Deb, appreciate it. Yeah. Okay, this is kind of the beginning of the program. This is Old Forks Road in 1980. I took this photo. That's a train at about 70 miles an hour. It's a time exposure. The white light is the rear headlight. The red lights are the marker lights at the end of the train. It's just a matter of being in the right place at the right time. So regarding the program, most of the photos taken after 1964 are my photos. I have about, conservatively speaking, I've taken about 10,000 train photos. Pennsylvania, New York, but mostly in southern New Jersey. Of course, my two favorite locations were Hammonton and Winslow. I spent more time at Winslow than people that work there. So, and we could do a program on that sometime too. I have a real good Winslow program. I've taken color slides, black and white prints, black and white photos. And aside from the ones I've taken, I have to give credit to many of these photos and slides were given to me by family members who are no longer with us, and also friends. It's incredible. I've had people that I really didn't know show up at the railroad yard, and they'll say, "Hey, do you remember my dad?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And they said, "Well, you know," and it was just incredible. They would show up and they'd have like a box of photos or color slides from like the 50s and 60s, and they're like, "My dad would want you to have these." And it's just, I mean, it was overwhelming. There's no, you could say thank you, but it's not good enough. So a lot of what you're going to see tonight is my stuff, stuff that was taken by relatives and friends. And aside from the approximate 10,000 photos that I took, I probably purchased in my life 4,000 or 5,000 photos. So I have a lot of photos. Photos tell good stories. So as we go on with the program, if you have any questions, you should probably ask when you see the image, because if we wait till the end, then we might say, "Wait, remember that photo?" So we could pause, we can go back, we can go forward, and I may not have all the answers, but if I don't have an answer, I'll get it for you. So I think we should begin. Greg, do we turn the lights off, or how are we gonna go? I need to be somewhere where I could use my pointer. So how are we gonna do that?
You want to stand out in the open?
I don't wanna block anybody's view.
That side.
Yeah, let me do that. I don't know if I need the microphone.
You want to sit down in the chair at the table?
You wanna sit here, Tim?
I don't wanna take your seat.
No, the table in front, right here.
Yeah.
The one right in front.
Here or here?
Oh, yeah, okay, I'll sit right there. This microwave. I'll move it around. Thanks for listening, by the way.
If anybody gets up to walk across, be careful.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay. All right, so we've seen train at 70 miles an hour, Old Forest Road.
Good or?
That's good, yeah, that's real good. I gotta see the, oops, all that right. Okay, so this is the presentation. I want to give credit before we start. One of my employees, Alex, he's a conductor and engineer at the Seashore Lines. He played a major part in putting this all together for me. So thanks so much, Alex. Appreciate it.
All right, excuse me. Getting requested to turn on one of the lights. Which one works best for everybody? The back one?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
So this is an 1887 map, as it reads, of New Jersey. Where's my light pointer? There you go. Hey, oh, it won't work on the screen. How about that? No. Okay, so Hammonton is kind of like in the middle, if you can see that. I don't know why this won't show up on there. See, look. It won't. Yeah, because of the, yeah, that's right. So if you can see those two lines that are real close to each other, one is the Pennsylvania Railroad and one is the Reading. And you can see how close together they were, a matter of a couple hundred yards from Hammonton all the way down towards Pomona, where the Reading kind of veered off to the right. I wish I could show you, but I can't because it doesn't work. But anyhow. Whoops. Wait, that's good. Okay. Oh. Okay. So basically, in Hammonton, you had two railroads. The Pennsylvania Railroad controlled the Camden Atlantic, the West Jersey and Seashore. They were the Pennsy and the West Jersey and Seashore Camden was the first railroad here in 1854. And over on the Reading side, you had the Atlantic City Railroad, which arrived in 1877. In 1933, both companies realized it was a smart thing to do to combine their operations, and they formed the Pennsylvania Reading Seashore Lines. So that's how, and kind of, both railroads played a massive role in the development of Hammonton. I mean, that's, when back in those days, if you had a railroad anywhere near your town, you started a town, because it all made sense. This is what Hammonton kind of looked like. I said, it's too bad, I can't, did it work? Too bad. Okay, so from left to right, you have Orchard Street, then you have 12th Street, which is Bellevue Avenue. As you can see, to the left of Bellevue Avenue, there were actually 4 tracks at one time. The 2 main tracks, and you had 2 sidings. And you had a freight station that sat right up against Bellevue Avenue, which would have been right across the street from Godfrey's drugstore. And then on the other side of Bellevue Avenue, the original Pennsylvania Railroad PRSL station was built in 1906. You can see that right there. And then if you keep moving to the east or to the right, you have the railroad yard where all the local trains sat at night and on the weekends. And that the thing that dips down and then goes back out, that's the Y track. Just about every town back in those days had a Y track because you had to turn the steam locomotives. They had to be turned. So on any given night, one of my uncles was, hey, there's a train. I think we planned that way, I think. On any given night, you had probably anywhere from 4 to 6 steam locomotives used to run around that Y track because they would come in, there you go. They would come in facing Atlantic City, but the next morning they had to face Camden. So that track crossed Washington Street. These tracks, unfortunately, are long gone. Yep, that's good, that's great. And then you can see where, Greg, go down where the dashed lines are.
Yep.
The bottom, that's the Reading, okay? You can see how fairly close they were. The dashed lines are where the track was removed after 1933, and then they built what's called a connection to connect the Pennsy with the Reading because they still had freight customers they had to serve. So on the Reading side, you had a little yard at Washington Street, 2 tracks. It's a big open space today with a tree growing in the middle of it. And then you had the, pardon me, you had the Reading Station, which was right at Bellevue Avenue, 12th Street, and we'll see some good photos of that later. Yeah, thanks, Greg. So yeah, at 12th Street, which is Bellevue Avenue, you see where the Reading Station was. It's where the Hammonton News Building or whatever. It's the pool house now, right? Mm-hmm. Right in that area, yes. So you had a lot of railroad activity in Hammonton. Probably at one time there was, I would say there was probably at least 12 to 15 freight customers just in Hammonton alone. A lot of business. Of course, you had the freight trains, plus the passenger trains, plus excursion trains to Atlantic City, local trains, express trains. It was, Hammonton was a real busy railroad town, very busy.
30 plus trains.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, where my mom lived, let's see, could you point that out? Go to Washington Street. Okay, go to the right, keep going. Stop at Line Street. My mom's house was right about, no, on the other side. Yep, right in there somewhere. Yep, right in there,
Yeah,
yep.
that's right.
Yep, so, yeah, she always used to tell me trains were day and nights, and I said, Mom, how did that affect you? She was, we loved it. We didn't bother us at all. We were a family of 11 kids, and we walked the railroad track on occasion and pick up coal for the furnace. So that's what people did in those days. It was kind of cool. So we'll start with the Reading line in Hammonton. And kind of interesting, the first place we're going to start is really not Hammonton, it's Rosedale. This is the Reading Railroad double-track main line at Rosedale. Let me see if I can put this in perspective. It's a shame I can't use the pointer because
I can help you out.
yeah, this is, the road today is kind of like a real sweeping S-curve. Right. Back in those days, it wasn't. It was just like, exactly like Fairview Avenue, where you would parallel the track, and you turn left and you cross the track, then you make a right on the Carver Road. That garage in the picture, that was there till like about 10 years ago, and I believe the house is on the left, that big house with it looks like it's white, yeah. That's still there, and those houses on the right, I believe, are still there also. So on any given, right, on any given weekend, those people, all they had to do is sit on their porch and get a parade of trains like you wouldn't believe. And the Reading, by the way, at one time, this track right here was the fastest railroad in the world. In the world, not in the state, not on the East Coast, not in the country. The average speed from Camden to Atlantic City was 90 miles an hour. Yeah, 90, so. And another interesting part about this, if you go behind where the photographer was standing, it's still visible to this day, but every year it just gets smaller and smaller. There's a cut as you're going down the Carver Road to your left. There's years ago was a deep cut. That's where the tracks were, down in the cut, and then the road kind of dropped down, and that's where you had your grade crossing right there. Like I said, any questions, please ask, please. These are some of the guys that kept those trains on the track at 90 miles an hour. It's a section gang. And the reason they were called section gangs, each track was divided into, as far as the workers are concerned, it was sectioned off like maybe 2 miles, 3 miles, 4 miles. And every section gang was responsible to keep that section of track perfect, especially when you had passenger trains operating at 90 miles an hour. So this is probably, I don't know the exact location, but these are Reading guys working on the track. No hard hats, no safety vests, but you know they got the job done. When men were men, sorry. Here's another photo. I believe this was taken, this might have been down near Pomona, but it just goes, guys tamping ballast with ballast forks under the track. You can see the foreman, he's dressed a little bit different. And the thing across the track is a track gauge. So they're obviously checking the gauge to make sure it's perfect and tamping stone under ties. And long before the machines we have today, this is the way it was done. And that's why, again, they had section gangs whose responsibility was to keep that track perfect, especially, like I said, when you're operating trains at 90 miles an hour. Right, no equipment, right. So, Greg, we were talking about this the other day. This is Pleasant Street, looking east towards Orchard. Without the pointer, I'm sorry, I can't point out exactly what I want. But the building on the left, that was the Aggressive. That's gone. And I think my mom worked there for a short period of time. The track we're looking at would have been the westbound track towards Camden. The eastbound track was to the right, but, and I've had many people ask me this over the years, they're like, how could 2 tracks fit in there? It's so close. Well, the answer is that building wasn't there when the railroad was double tracked. So that's the way it is. And on the left, buried in the weeds, you can just about see the rails. It's a track leading up to there's a coal pier to the left, right up in there, Greg, yeah. And I have another photo of that coming up. So this is, once again, this is Pleasant Street on the fastest railroad in the world. It's a different angle. Once again, the Aggressive Coke Company. The building on the right, Greg and I were talking about this. I think it was, if anyone remembers, please let us know. I think it was William Capella.
Yeah, it's Capella's.
Capella, yeah. John Capella, okay. John, we couldn't think of that, but
Fertilizer and stuff.
yeah, right. It was like packaged goods or fertilizers. Yeah. I don't know what it's used for today. It's still there, but
Baskets too, wicker, yeah, for harvesting.
Yep.
all I can say is those people working in that coat company at Aggressive must have really, that building must have shook when those trains went past there. I mean, you know, it was really, really great. To me, that's great stuff, really. It wouldn't bother me at all. There's a photo I took. That's a train going back to Eastern Brewing, when Eastern Brewing was still a company, still in business, I should say. And once again, that's the same location. The building, the aggressive is gone, the crossbucks are gone, the track is gone. But we're gonna see it in one of the next photos. Let me see if I could get that. Yeah, this is crossing Orchard Street. And, you know, you might look at that photo and say, well, that's a pretty modern photo. I took that photo like 45 years ago, believe it or not. And there's the coal pier I was talking about. And the sign said famous Reading anthracite. And when I was a kid, my grandfather used to take me there, and we would park right in the street, and we would watch the train shove coal cars up on the hill there. And what they would do is, when the cars got up against the bumper, that little thing there's a bumper to keep the cars from going off the end of the track, they'd open the chutes on the bottom of the hoppers and dump the coal, and then these conveyors would come and get the coal and load them right into dump trucks. It was really a cool operation. And I was telling Greg the other night, when I was at his house, for many, many years after that closed, there were two old steel conveyors that just sat there. They sat there for many years, and back in there somewhere, right. And they looked like two dinosaurs, just kind of like just sitting there waiting for something that never came. And you see that sign, Reading, a famous Reading anthracite? I wanted that sign so bad. Oh, I wanted that sign so bad. But
Starting to crumble already.
yeah, it was kind of breaking in the middle, and
Tony, I'll
Yes.
tell you, we have that sign. I have that sign.
well, you're the one that took it.
Because when That
figures.
We owned it. We owned the yard.
You own that?
We owned it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and,
Was my story accurate so far?
so far, yeah.
Oh, good, okay.
And I believe that was, after the coal would come in, and it'd be dropped either in 50 or 100 tons at a time, then you'd back the coal truck up to it,
Okay.
and then hand shovel it into the truck,
Hmm.
and,
Told you when men were men.
yeah, it's by gravity, and, so, and that tank there is, I believe that.
Oh, yeah, right against the fence. Yeah, I see it. I see
To
it.
wet the coal, because
Oh,
when
okay.
you were,
Dust and heat.
when you were delivering it to your customer, you didn't want to deliver that dust into the cellar,
Right.
so you would wet it down.
Oh, great
But
info.
that's after it went on the scale.
Awesome, great
Made it
info, Bill.
somewhere.
Yeah, and then almost like anything else, I hate to say this, but eventually when they stopped getting coal deliveries there, someone set it on fire, and that was the end of the coal pier. But up till this day, the tracks, excuse me?
I used to play on that.
Oh, really? Wow. I'm gonna get your autograph, really.
That's why you stopped the water.
Yeah, there you go. That's great. I love stuff like that. I'm not afraid to say it either. So, thanks a lot, Bill. Appreciate that info. And there's a kind of a better photo of it. But that's the tracks. The pier is gone. Like I said, someone set it on fire. But I walked it last winter. If you go to Pleasant Street, you could walk up the hill. The tracks are still there. Hard to believe. And like I said, I wish I could use the pointer. Sorry about that. But those two machines I told you about, the two conveyors, they sat in there for so many years. And I was kind of young at the time, but I thought to myself, how cool would it be to have one of those in your backyard? You know? my mom probably wouldn't have liked it, but sometimes you gotta try it, you know? So this is the Reading station at Hammonton, and the coal pier. Can you point that, Greg? It's right the next street. See where we were looking? Yeah, right there. That's exactly right. Yeah. And it looks to me like it had a cover over it at one time. But this is the Reading, the fastest railroad in the world, 90 miles an hour, looking towards Winslow, looking west. This street is Bellevue Avenue, 12th Street. The Hammonton News Building.
That's all it was.
Yeah, the Hammonton News Building, or whatever, the pool house, I guess that's called now, would be right there where that station is, right in here, yep. And, I don't know what's on the right now.
Is it that curb?
No. Okay, we're gonna go to the curb. So, okay, this is interesting, pay attention to this. Greg, I'm glad you're here with your pointer. Point out that curb on the left rail. No.
Oh, it is this.
Yeah, no, right there, okay?
Yeah.
That's still there. So if you want to see
Yep.
something of railroad history, I've had so many people ask me over the years, are like, why is there a curb there? Was that a street? And I said, no, you don't understand. That's where you boarded the Blue Comet.
Right.
And if you just think how many people stood there and looked towards either Atlantic City or Camden waiting for their train to show up.
This is the parking lot behind Mazza's.
West End.
Yeah. Well,
West End's
over
across
there,
the street.
Yeah, West End's that way.
That curve is the parking lot for West End.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, it's right
This will
up
work.
against
This will
the
work
curb.
now. The West End is right here.
Colonial Electric, huh?
Right here.
Yeah,
Colonial Electric is right
Yeah,
here.
it's this way.
That was where I lived. And I used to hold
Upstairs?
my kid to the window and he used to say, why do they change these things?
Wow.
Well, they didn't stop. though.
Those were hand cranked crossing gates with a manual crossing watchman.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, that's correct.
Oh, yeah.
And my mom, Washington Street would have been, let's see, I can't, over here, okay, we're looking, so, sorry, Greg. My mom and her brothers and sisters used to walk the track because she told me once, she told me the story a dozen times. In that station, there was a little candy, like a little, you can get penny candy there. And she'd tell me it was the best candy in the world because, you ready for this? The candy came from Philadelphia, across the Delaware River on a ferry. They put it on a train and they drop it off here at the station. So, one of the advantages of living close to a train station.
That might be your mom right there standing. See that?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you never know. Let's see. She was born in 22. The railroad was still there till the end of 33, so you just never know. You don't know.
She's 9 or 10.
If I'm going too fast or too slow or just right, just tell me, you know. This is the only photo I've ever seen looking the other direction. So here we're looking towards Atlantic City. Bellevue Avenue would be the first street you see. And you know what I find fascinating even to this day? Greg, point to the Waterworks building. No, right there, the building. Keep going, come down a little bit, come down to the right, to the right, to the right, to the right. Yeah, that building right there. Nope, to the left. Yeah. If you pay attention next time you go, I don't know why, I look at this all the time, I guess it's kind of cool. The cornerstone is still up on top of the building. Hammonton Water Department, 1902. I mean, it's just so fascinating, I mean, to know that it still exists. And the other building, that was a freight station. You'll see more of that, Greg. Can you point to that one? That's it. Yeah, that's a freight station. So, and that was right up against, I remember that. That was right up against 12th Street. And it had a ramp. It had a ramp on the side of it. And I should say it had a platform. And then it had a long ramp that went down to the ground. And we used to ride our bicycles up there, and we would go flying off the end of that ramp. It was so much fun. If we would have fell, we would have been like destroyed. But and Harry Langham, if anyone remembers him,
Remember old Harry, yeah.
yeah, he worked there, Town Feed Supply, I guess that was at the time. And like I said, this is the only, I wish I could see a photo like maybe a little further down, because then I might be able to see the back of my mom's house, but,
Is that pointy building, is that Ruby's Furniture?
excuse me?
That point behind that building, the tall building?
Rubus
This?
Furniture.
Yeah.
Oh, that's.
That's part of the station, yeah, that's the top of the
That's the
station.
peak.
You said, remember? Yeah, I remember.
There's a closer up view.
Yeah,
Yeah, there it is.
there it is there.
The stagecoach.
It was a very ornate station.
Yeah, it's too bad it was torn
That building
down.
got moved across the street behind Frank Mazza's, not Frank Mazza's, the other side.
The freight station.
No, well,
Yeah, I think it's a freight station. I'll show you. I got a photo of it. I'll
it's
show
just
you.
across the
This was torn
street.
down.
Yep. So, Greg, point to that platform again. I think my next photo. Yeah, there's a station platform where you would.
On the one side.
Yep. And there's a photo I took somewhere around 78, 79, 80. Yeah, but there's
Yep, to the right.
the platform. See it? Point it, Greg. You could just see it through the trees. Keep going. Nope, other side, other side. Keep going. Keep
Oh,
going.
yeah.
Right there, yeah. Because remember, the other track was in there.
Yep.
Let's go back one more time. Let's go back. Yeah, see, that track is gone, but the platform is still there. And this is the local freight train coming back from Eastern Brewing. Yeah. Wasn't that Cavuto, right? John Cavuto. I think my mom and dad bought a television or two there over the years. Valenti. Cavuto, Valenti. I need to know before we leave. I gotta know.
Wait, I wanna take a picture of that if you don't mind.
Sure.
This lady lived upstairs.
It's amazing how many trains emerge from, buildings with,
Yeah.
with virtually no, you know. Now this one's going slow, but.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well,
Some of them not
and they
so
would
slow.
stop and the flag,
Yeah,
the
usually.
conductor or the brakeman would get out and flag that traffic. But see, look, if you look real closely, you can see that platform. There's a little bit of it sticking out. See, go near the telephone pole. There you go.
Yep, right there.
Still there to this very day. So if you go there and you want to check it out and you see a train, let me know.
That's crazy.
It's another view. And there's that platform again, and once again, we're long before the Colonial Electric. And one more photo of the train crossing Bellevue Avenue.
That's 12th Street.
12th Street, yep, yep.
If I saw that.
So, right now, I got a quick story to tell you. So, when they were adding on to the Wawa, the current Wawa that's there, okay, I go there almost every day, pick up the newspapers, and there was about, on this side of the street, the side where I took the photo, which would be the Wawa parking lot, the driveway, there was about 30 feet of rail still there. This is, pretty late, recently, well, within, I guess, what, maybe the last 5 or 6 years, 7 years. But anyhow, the rail was still there, and I went in Wawa one day, and I asked for the manager, and it was a young kid, and nothing against young kids, but I said, hey, listen, I said, I'm with the railroad. I said, I want to talk to you about something. He goes, yeah, sure. I said, you have a piece of railroad there. I said, he says, yeah, there's 2 rails there. I said, that's very historic. I said, it's like, at one time, and he probably thought to myself, listen to this guy. So I told him, I said, that's like historic. I said, it should be preserved. I said, the fastest trains in the world ran through here 90 miles an hour. And I'm not even sure if he knew what I was talking about. But I told him, I said, look, I said, and they were like expanding the parking lot, right, when this was going on. There was, machines working and excavators. And I said, look, I'll tell you what, I said, I'm with a railroad company. I said, if you can save that, I said, we'll make a plaque and we'll put it inside, you could put it inside the building. If you put it outside, it would get stolen. But I said, we'll make a plaque for you to say, hey, the fastest trains in the world pass through the Wawa parking lot. And he's like, yeah, let me look into it. That's a great idea. 2 days later, excavator was ripping the rails right out of the ground. And I'm like, oh, well, that fell on deaf ears, but hey, I tried, Can't save everything, but at least you can try to.
Are you sure that was the train that used to go 90 miles an hour?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll tell you how I know that.
Street, I don't.
Yeah, I have original Atlantic City Railroad timetables, employee timetables, which an employee timetables tells you, your maximum speed and speed restrictions, and it's in the timetable, 90 miles an hour.
In town was built after?
No, the one that's in town now was built first. That was the West Jersey and Seashore. This came later. The Atlantic City Railroad came later. But the Atlantic City Railroad had fast trains. I mean, both railroad had fast trains. The other railroad was 80 miles an hour.
They went slow over there, yes.
Well,
I had to stop on this.
Yeah, the Blue Comet hit 98 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah.
Down near Egg Harbor City.
Well, years later, I might have a photo here. Years later, the Pennsylvania Running Seashore Lines was doing speed tests with new passenger equipment, and between Hammonton and Elwood, they hit 112 miles an hour. These were steam locomotives, no diesels.
Yeah.
So it was. I mean, the railroad was, it was impeccable. It was well maintained, and the only problem you had as a local resident is just stay away from a train, just like today. Like I said, I've been in the railroad business 46 years, and I always tell people, because people will say to me, oh my gosh, these trains are so fast, and aren't they dangerous? And I said, well, let me tell you something. I said, I've been doing this a long time. I've never seen a train jump off the track and chase somebody down the street. I've never seen that. I can guarantee you that probably won't happen unless there's some kind of real crazy situation, but just obey the laws, But it amazes me as an engineer, people won't drive in front of a tractor trailer, like doing, 50, 60 miles an hour, but they'll drive in front of a train. It's just mind-boggling, really. And the track now, the Atlantic City line, I believe it's 60 through Hammonton, but other places it's 80. And I have a good friend of mine, he's an engineer on the Atlantic City, he tells me people drive around the gates all the time, which is pretty suicidal. You have 20 seconds to stop there and wait for the train to go by, but that's another story, we'll save that for another day. This is another photo of that same location, a little bit, right near the end almost, you can see the track wasn't well maintained, but once again, there's that station platform, and the old truck, and, yep, still there, still there. What am I doing wrong here, Greg? I can't get it to advance. Here, you try it. Hate when that happens.
And you got a question while you're troubleshooting.
Advances to the right, correct?
Yes.
Is a question,
Tony, I got a
Yes,
question while
yes.
you're troubleshooting.
did it get turned off by chance?
Did the mail service drop bags to and from Philadelphia and Atlantic City and Hammonton?
I believe they did, yes. Yes, I believe they did. Because they had RPO cars on the train, Railroad Post Office. Both railroads, probably the Pennsy and the Reading.
There's no lighter in it.
Might not be turned off.
Would it be the batteries maybe?
Battery funny field.
Yeah, the switch just, I think
If I have to, it's just right there.
You have to hit the one at the bottom. Yeah, because more batteries.
I didn't do it, I swear I didn't.
You just advance right here, right?
Okay, thank you. So besides the pointer,
My
now
last-
you're the operator.
My last name is
Thank God, thank God for Greg. He's a conductor, very good. So, okay, so now we're at 12th Street, and we're looking once again east. The next street is Passmore Avenue. So on the left is Hammonton Lumber Company, Johnny Ake, and that's Frank Mazza was a furniture building they built there, which would have been where that old freight station was in the other photo. It sat right there, because if you can see under the third car, the track is still there. Look at the third car, yeah, see, yep, yeah, the track is still there. And that's the track that would have went right alongside the freight station. This is almost near the end of the service, and there was a gas station. I don't remember what kind
Tony
of.
Salonis.
Yeah, there you go, right there on the left. Right here. I gotta use my pointer once in a while.
Yeah, they used to have a siding over there behind them.
That's it, yeah, mm-hmm. And look, if you look, I can't get used to not using that. The station platform is still here too. See, look at the platform. Look, see, yeah, there you go, yeah. It's, like I said, now that's the Wawa driveway. Okay, Greg. And this was called the Hammonton Public Delivery, which kind of speaks for itself, delivering rail cars for the public to use. Again, this is now where this is the Wawa parking lot. Of course, the buildings to the left are still there. I don't know what it doesn't look like it's Colonial Electric anymore. It might have been something else. And then there's Frank Mazza's building. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's a more close. Yeah, there's the gas station. I think that was a mobile station. Am I
Yeah,
right?
it was.
Okay, good. Yeah, this train here just came back from Eastern Brewing. The first car is corn syrup, and the second car is malt. And you can see the track that went right alongside the freight station. It's still there.
Of course, it was.
Right, car sitting on the track. Yeah. Okay, Greg. Sorry about that clicker. There's the freight station in its glory days, and there's that ramp I was telling you about, the platform rather, and that's they're crates of chickens, getting ready to be shipped out. And I can't. Right here. This is 12th Street right here, because the station sat on the east side of 12th, the west side, and the freight station was on the east side.
Is that where the produce market, one of those was at one time?
I think the produce market was down further.
Yeah,
Further
there were
down the street.
couple-
Yeah.
Washington.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Okay, Greg. Is that clicker permanently out of service? It's no, it's,
Deb, did you get it?
it's right here.
Yeah, I think the batteries are going.
Oh, no, I hate when that happens.
That's the water department there, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep, and there's the old, what they did was they moved that, when Frank Mazza built the building, they moved the freight station. I don't know how they moved it, but they did. And I guess they were using it for storage for a while. But it sat there for a long time. I mean, it should have been preserved, but the days of it being preserved were long gone even when this picture was taken. And then eventually they just tore it down. Okay. And this is like an overall view of the track there. What they did was, the Pennsylvania Reading Seashore Lines, when they merged with the Reading and the Lake City, the Reading and the Pennsy, they put a reverse, you can see it's a reverse kink here, a reverse curve, I should say. And the track that the photographer's standing on would have been the track going towards Atlantic City, and right after that little curve, that track would have been the track going towards Camden. And you can see parts of the water, of the lumber yard, and I guess those other buildings are gone now. The water department, I think they're gone. Yeah,
Water tanks there in the left.
the water tank, right? Water
Yeah, it's
tank's still
still
there.
there.
Yep, thankfully.
There's an electrical substation there too, that's gone.
Right. Jeez. Okay, Greg. These are, I took this photo probably around 80, 81. The first car, the second car, and the third car, not the first car, second car, and the fourth car were grapes from California. Those are mechanical reefers. And I had asked the train crew at the time, I said, I'm just curious to know. He said, they're grapes for Gino's Produce.
Oh, that's what you're talking about, yeah.
A little story about these mechanical reefers. I worked for another railroad, and we had a company that used them. They used to get beef from California, and I'll never forget. They would tell us, they go, look, we had those cars have motors in them. They're motorized, and that's what keeps the cars cold. The refrigeration units, and they used to tell us, you have to inspect those cars every day, and if the temperature gets above minus 10 degrees, you have to call us. It's an emergency. Because supposedly this beef was like worth $150,000 per car. So on the way home, it was me and one of my other fellow employees. We used to have to open the little door and check the thermometer and see if and they were usually pretty good. But every once in a while, you get one creeping up towards zero. But that's how cold they were.
Was it right on the end or that side?
Yeah, I think it's on the other side.
The other end.
Yeah, other end. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that flicker fixed?
No. I haven't seen the clip.
Okay. And there's just the Pennsylvania Reading Seashore Line diesel sitting in that same location. The crew used to, the train crew, the engineer would always stay with the engine because he was a good friend of mine. But the crew used to walk to Columbia and get lunch.
It was right there.
Yeah, right, kind of like that way. Okay.
Maybe a drink.
Here's a photo I took somewhere around 80, I guess 81, and this is a train coming back from Eastern Brewing. The track closest to us would have been just the siding. The track that they're on would have been the eastbound Reading main track, and the westbound track was removed. The reason this is one of my favorite photos, I really like this, is because Crown Pants, John Pino's shop, is in the background. And my mom used to work there. She used to walk to work. Yep. I'm surprised it was still there as late as 81, 82. I don't know when it closed up.
Got cars parked in front of it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And there's another photo I took. This is looking towards Atlantic City. Hard to believe, but yeah, once again, that was the fastest railroad in the world. The track on the right's the siding. The track that I'm standing on would have been the main track towards Atlantic City, and the track on the left going towards Camden was removed. And the next crossing would be Line Street.
Could I ask a question?
Yes, please.
There seem to be no railroad ties between those tracks.
Okay, well, under the asphalt, they would be buried under the street. But quite honestly, you made a good point, because near the very, very end, the ties were in pretty bad condition. They had the average speed here was like 3 miles an hour when they were using it. But it's a very contrasting photo to know what it once was. You know, all these famous trains, the Boardwalk Flyer, the Blue Comet, operated on these tracks. Okay, Greg. That's just looking the other direction. Again, this is the track I'm standing on is the track that would have went to Atlantic City. The track going towards Camden would have been on the right. My mother's house, you see that garage? That was built later. The garage on the right, Greg?
That's the garage.
Yeah, yeah. My mom's house is right in front of that. And you can see how up close. In fact, I'll tell you a quick story. They had an outhouse, and the outhouse was like right near the embankment of the railroad track. And my mom used to tell me there was like 6 girls and 5 boys. And my mom used to tell me the girls, when the train went by, the girls were embarrassed to go into the outhouse or come out of the outhouse because they didn't want the people on the train to see them using an outhouse. So my mom said, yeah, if we heard a train coming, we just stay in there and wait till the train went by. It didn't take long because it was moving real fast, but a little personal humor there. Okay, same location. Once again, that's the track that would have been headed towards Atlantic City. The track on the Hamden side was already removed, and that building was a concrete battery box for signals. That right there. And you know what? That was there for many, many, many years. And I went past it one day, and it was a backhoe, kind of like knocking it down. And I tell you what, you don't knock those down very easy. They were chipping away at this thing. And I remember I pulled up because I'm a nosy guy, and I said, "Excuse me." I said, "What? Why are you doing that?" I said, "Well, the neighbors complained the kids were hanging out here, so we're tearing it down." Yeah, okay, whatever. How about keeping your kids out of railroad property? You know. Okay, so this kind of like an interesting photo. I'll tell you what this is all about. I took this photo. I would have been standing, even though the track curves to the right, or railroad direction curves to the left. I would have been standing right in the middle of the 2 tracks, the Reading tracks going towards Atlantic City. So I'm dead center, just showing kind of exactly. And today, it's all grown up, and there's houses in there, and you'd probably have a hard time seeing anything in there today. Okay, Greg?
What's a CA mean?
CR, Conrail. This is that connection track we saw earlier. They built that after the 2 railroads merged so they can serve the customers on the Reading. And they called it a connection because that's really what it did. It connected with the Reading and the Pennsy. Looking west on Washington Street, you can see the Texaco bulk. Who owned that? I used to know that, but I don't remember. There's a Texaco bulk. See it right there?
It's right.
I used to know that. I can't remember whose it was.
John Renzi?
Yeah, maybe. That might be it. Yeah. And of course, the water tower's still there, and that White House is still there. But there's many more houses in there right now. Okay. Yeah, another train going around the connection there with the old railroad crossbuck. And one more. Okay, so that kind of takes care of the Reading side of it. Now we're going to go over to the Pennsylvania Railroad side. Okay, Greg. This is Fairview Avenue. And Dolores, that's correct. Yep. I'll tell you a quick story. I got a million quick stories. So when I was a kid, my grandfather used to like either pick me up at our house or our apartment, I should say, or after school. And he knew, back in those days, everyone knew everyone. If you weren't related, they were at least good friends. So we would stop there. He would pull up right out front, and we would go in, and he would buy me a box of vanilla wafers. And I love those things. If I wasn't on a diet, I'd be eating them right now. But we would sit there, and he'd go in and talk with the Dolores, and we would sit there and watch trains for maybe 15, 20 minutes, and a train would go by, then another train would go by. But it's amazing if you look up the railroad, look how clean it was. All you could see is telegraph poles. I mean, it's just back in those days, the railroad spared no expense at keeping the vegetation under control.
hardly any trees.
Yeah, and there's a crossing watchman shanty, right there.
So that little building there near the railroad tracks,
Mm-hmm.
that's not still there, is it?
No, no, not at all.
Those are the
I
watchmen
bet
who
that
would.
car's not there either.
No, that's an old, looks like an old Chevy. Chevy pickup.
GMC retorted like.
With, regarding that building, there we go, there's another view. This is just looking, just different view, but same location. Bet's Bakery on the right, and Dolores Market on the left. Check out the signs on Egg Harbor Road, Camden, Atlantic City.
That's Fairview.
Yeah, that building, that little building, I had one of those in my backyard. Yeah, I saved it from being, from going into extinction, and I purchased it from Conrail back in 1978. It was in Egg Harbor. It was totally vandalized, the windows were all smashed, at least they boarded it up. I purchased it from Conrail for $1.05. But you have no idea what it took to get it from Hammonton, from Egg Harbor to Hammonton. And where I live, it's kind of residential. One more quick story, maybe not, maybe a few more. So, I got my brother and about 5 or 6 friends of his, because they were a little bit younger than me and stronger. And we got a lowboy truck, and we put it on a lowboy truck, and we couldn't, it wouldn't fit under, I have a carport on my house, so it wouldn't fit under the carport. So I went to my neighbor who lives behind me, and I said, hey, Paul, I said, I'm moving the building to my backyard. So I said, can we come in through your driveway and come in the back way? And he said, sure, no problem whatsoever. So while the truck was maneuvering to try to get into his driveway, which is on Broadway, we had, traffic was not packed up, but there was maybe 3 or 4 cars stopped while we were trying to maneuver this truck. So later that night, my mom comes home, and it was dark, and she didn't see the building. So she goes, what was all the commotion here today? I didn't tell her about it. She said, my mom used to work at Ideal, not the bakery, Ideal, the clothing place. And my mother said, was there an accident on Broadway today or something like that? I said, no way. She said, someone came in Ideal and told me someone was getting an outhouse delivered. I swear I'm not kidding you. Remember it was dark, so she didn't see it. And that's a true story. So someone came in and said, somebody was getting an outhouse delivered. I said, Mom, come back outside for a minute. And she was okay with it. She was pretty cool. She was a cool lady. I told her, I said, Mom, I saved this. It had to be saved. And I had it, I'm getting it painted again. It has a nice roof on it, but it looks exactly like that building. Exactly. So if you want to see it, come over to my yard.
Hey, Tony,
Yes.
when I was a kid, my neighbor across the street from me, Mr. Giordano, he worked in that building.
Yeah, he was a gate.
Oh, okay.
He would put
Yeah, he
out
was a
the
flagman.
stop or,
There was another gentleman, Shabilia. He was at Bellevue Avenue.
Caesar Bernardo.
Yeah, I think, because I remember seeing on his truck, A. Shabilia. I'm pretty sure that was, and I used to go to Bellevue Avenue and yell across the road, because my parents told me don't cross Bellevue Avenue, but I used to yell to him, hey, mister, when's the next train? And believe it or not, he'd say, 15 minutes, stay here, it's coming. So here's a real fast train, as you can see. This is the same location. This is, it's kind of like Fairview Avenue and Egg Harbor Road. That house is still there, by the way. I think there's another house in front of it now, and you can see the train it's a pretty fast train. You can see by the action. Okay. This is a train, it's a Railroad Avenue would be on the right. Yep, Egg Harbor Road's on the left.
Skinner's over there.
Skinner's shop, that's it, Skinner's, yeah. Another place destroyed by fire. This is somewhere around 41. It's a train going to Camden. Here's a comparison photo. I'll tell you a quick story about this. Every once in a while, I took so many photos, and you'll take a photo because the location looks good or the sun is just perfect. Not that you only take photos on sunny days, but I always tried to work some type of building into my photos, so it's like an identifier, a location identifier. So Greg, go back one. I took this and then came across the photo before that. So it's pretty uncanny. When I got a hold of this, I said, wait a minute, I took a photo just like that, so, kind of interesting. Yeah, the other track is gone now,
I
but,
was gonna say we're down the same track.
yeah, that's just about the same location, that's a Reading locomotive, and those houses, I believe, are still there. And that is that's the Blue Comet. It has a different locomotive, but it is the Blue Comet.
822,
Yeah.
painted.
Yeah, 831, 832, and 833.
Yeah.
Was that done during the
This is
forties?
like 832, I think.
Might be 822.
Oh, yeah, this, yeah. This is-
Yeah, because it didn't have the feed water heater.
Yeah,
And,
no, it doesn't, yeah. You're right.
and I think, I'm pretty sure either all or most of those houses are still there.
Still got
But
skids.
look at the condition of the roadbed, look at the ballast section, and everything's just picture perfect. Yep,
And no fence.
yep, and, right, and no fence, yeah. Well, you know why? Because back in those days, when you told somebody don't cross the track, they didn't cross the track. you know?
Cross the track.
Exactly.
They didn't do it more than once.
There's a-
Yeah, that's also the Blue Comet with a different locomotive. That's, let's see, what's that? That's Railroad Avenue. And that's, I guess that must be part of Skinner's shop on the
Yeah,
right.
looks like the building in Skinner's.
Yep, yeah. Every once in a while, when they had 3 locomotives that were assigned to the Blue Comet, if they were being used for another service or they were down for maintenance, they would substitute another locomotive. That locomotive is preserved today at the Baltimore and Ohio Museum. Yep, that's still in existence, believe it or not.
And they were fast.
Oh, they were fast, yeah, 86-inch wheels. Yeah, they were big and fast. Now we're on the other side of the track, looking at the houses on Railroad Avenue. They're probably all still there. But this track here on the left, let me tell you a story about that. The switch was at Fairview Avenue, and it came down the hill, and it went into what they used to call the Bury siding. Don't ask me why. We used to get berries, I don't know. But that's what it was called, the Bury siding in railroad terminology, because my grandfather would pick me up again, and we would sit there, and the freight train would stop right on here, and they would cut 1 or 2 cars off. And I tell you what, these guys were good. They were so fast. They came across, went to the switch, came back down the hill, crossed State Harbor Road, set off the cars, applied the handbrakes, uncoupled the engine, went back up, picked up their train, and took off within a matter of 10 minutes. And the track is gone, and where the yard was, the Bury Hole Yard, or whatever you want to call it, there's a church there today. So it's really not visible at all. And there's a fence there today too. There's, that's Orchard Street. I could tell you when this was. It was 1963.
Philip, is that Mr. Giordano?
That's not him.
No,
No, you know what? About 25 years ago, I took this photo to the Hammonton News, and they published it. And some woman called me, and she goes, "Is that your photo?" And I said, "Yes." I didn't take it, but it was in my possession. And she said, "That's my uncle or my grandfather or something." And she says, "I would love to have a copy of that." So I got her a copy. But I wish I knew who it was.
It's like WC Fields.
But
Yeah.
most of the crossings, you can see the one at Bellevue Avenue too. Most of the crossings had these crossing watchmen because the trains were so fast, you really didn't stand a chance. So they actually had to have people go out and with a flag that said stop on it, but a sign rather, and you had to stop. And if you didn't, it was your problem.
There, look, it's a Ford, you're good. They're
So let's see, you have Frank's Diner and LaMotta's Shoe Repair
Yep.
and J.C. Miller, and I can't remember, there was one other one in there. What's his name?
Uncle
Rock.
Morley.
St.
Oh, the TV place.
St. Thomas? Yeah.
He had the TV store
Yeah.
and the barber shop.
Right. This is like around 1963, I believe, looking
Yeah.
towards Bellevue Avenue. Yep.
Truck.
Telephone truck, 63 Chevy Impala, it looks like.
There's a Ford 63.
I love these old photos. Photos always tell a good story.
I have a question.
Yes.
Did they, the watchmen work 24 hours a day, 24, or was it like a certain time that they worked?
Well, that sign says 8 to 4, but I'm not sure how accurate that was because I used to see, and you know what, maybe it was designed maybe for that particular crossing. Now, that was Orchard Street, so it probably didn't have a lot of traffic. And probably most of the trains operated between 8 and 4. But Bellevue Avenue, the one down further, which you'll see in a couple seconds, I believe that was either round the clock or at least 2 shifts, because, I mean, you had traffic on Bellevue Avenue day and night. We'll see that, I think it's the next photo, Greg. Oops, no, not yet. But here's an express train to Atlantic City, and you could see, like I said, at one time they had 4 tracks here. The 2 main tracks, this long siding on the left, and there was another siding on the right, which I think may have been gone by this time because the cars are parked there. But this is during the war, and check something out. There's a female crossing watchman. See her holding the stop sign?
Oh, yeah.
Keep going, keep going.
Yeah.
Right,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
no, come to your right, come to your right, right there, yep,
In front of the pole.
yep. I mean, they, during the war, they, pressed everybody they could into service.
All the men were in the war.
Exactly. Men were at war, so the women had to take up the slack. Okay, Greg.
Okay.
This is a photo I took, sort of the same location, 1981, 82. I like it because it has some, well, they weren't old when I took the photo, but, the Central Cafe sign that tells the story.
Okay.
Okay, so, yeah, now Orchard Street is behind us. We're looking towards Bellevue Avenue. You can see Rexall Drugs, and there's that Chevy still there. Ritchie's Army and Navy, that whole thing burned down in '83.
Cotton Sears factory.
Yeah, I could look at these old photos all day. It's just great stuff. Hey, I hope you folks are enjoying this. I hope I'm not the only one. This is one of my all-time favorite photos. This tells the story. Fast trains, very fast train. That's a Atlantic City to Philadelphia Express. Yeah, there's the water tower, right? Yeah, hang on a minute, Greg. Let me look at it. And, yeah, check out the old cars, and of course Rexall Drugstore and M.L. Ruberton. And in those days, see the platform right here. The trains were so long that the engine would stop on the other side of Bellevue Avenue, but the cars would be all the way down here, and the people had to get off the train here and walk across. You'll notice another thing. In those days, no headlight. See the locomotive? Very rarely. They didn't start that till later on. And my grandfather and I used to stand at the train station, and he'd be holding my hand because I was like 4 or 5 years old. And he would tell me, the train's coming, the train's coming. I'm like, where is it, Grandpa? And we'd be looking towards Winslow, and I tell my employees the story, they kind of like it, so let me tell it one more time. So, because there was no headlight, you would see, from Winslow to Hammonton, it's downgrade. Okay, it's a descending grade, so the tracks come like down into town. So you could look towards Winslow, and you would see a big black plume of smoke, and you knew the train was coming. No headlight, but you saw the smoke before you saw the train. So there you have it. That's one of my favorite photos.
Nice one.
Yeah. Looks to me like a Hudson.
That's in order.
Yeah, this is 1963.
We don't decide, but
There's the crossing watchman. C&P Coates is still there before that burned down. Hey, check out Scola's Bar. That's still here. That was a famous place for numerous reasons. Did I say that? I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead. I like this for one reason, or 2 reasons. I mean, okay, so a traffic accident, they knocked the pole over with the lights. But you can see a lot of the downtown here, and you can see, again, Ritchie's Army and Navy Store, Vet's Taxi, Monastra's Liquor, A&P, look at the A&P market. M.R. Rubertine Insurance, it's great stuff. Hold on a minute, Greg, story here. So, you see those gates? The gates are pedestrian gates, right? Well, one's a pedestrian gate, but the other one's out of view. But they were controlled by the crossing watchmen on the other side of the street. And when I was a young kid, I asked a friend of mine who worked for the railroad, I said, how does that work? The rods went under the street. He would, someone mentioned it earlier, they would crank the gates down, and the rods went under the street and drop the gates. It was just, and those rods are probably still there. I wouldn't be surprised. But that's how they did it back in those days. There's a train headed towards Atlantic City. You can see and those were heavy gates. They were wooden gates. And at night, the crossing watchman, the guy that sat in that little building, when it got dark, he had to hang lanterns on the gate, but also he had to put counterweights on the gate to get it back up. So it's a fascinating job, very detailed job. And I used to sit there with the watchman and talk to him, and a bell used to go off. And remember, there were no lights here, so he didn't see the lights flashing or the bells ringing, but there was a little bell inside his building. That's how he knew a train was coming.
How far out, you think?
1 minute, if that. Yeah, you had to get out there and crank the gates down.
Hey, Tony?
Yes.
Just a comment, short story.
Please.
That engine represents the kind of engine that took over from steam trains, right?
Right.
They were pretty much the first.
Yep.
As a boy, I hated those engines because they were so simple and they just weren't a nice view.
Yeah, Baldwin locomotives, Philadelphia. Yep.
Smoky.
They were 1,600 horsepower, but I'll tell you what, they could move a 10 or 12 car passenger train real fast. They were geared for 80 miles an hour. Okay. This is a builder's photo of the Hammonton station right after it was built, 1906. And look at the building across the street. It's an old house with a picket fence and all kind of neat stuff. It's a little more modern day, but there's still two tracks there. And look at the baggage wagons parked outside the station for baggage. And there's a real good view of Scola's Bar. Got to point out Scola's Bar.
Is that over here?
No, right over here, right on top of the car.
Oh, right.
Right across
Yep,
the park.
yeah. And Rexall drugs.
Parking lot now.
Right.
Yep.
This is a real old photo. It's too bad when I purchased it, 9/13, it maybe was 06 or so you could just about see it at the bottom there, but.
Oh, one.
01, it could be. No, it can't be. The building wasn't built till 06.
Yeah, it could be a 6.
Yeah, that might be part of the 6.
Cut off the-
But Greg, there's that engine house that we talked about.
Mhm.
There was an engine house there, and that's the original water tank, was made out of wood. See it? And the streets are all dirt. And that little sign sticking up on the left says pharmacy. And of course, there's the building that burnt down.
Oh, yeah, right here. 'Cause it was-
Yeah, and that's Egg Harbor Road looking east. Here's a photo I took in 1981, 82. I was on top of a signal. I got permission, by the way. But that's looking towards Winslow, and you can see where the second track was at one time. Here's a real good comparison photo. Go to the next photo. Check it out. This train is it's called a Marion Year Pilgrimage to Atlantic City, and I think it came out of Philadelphia, and it made several stops along the way. But check out the people, and the attire and the length of the train. If you can see it, the train almost goes to Fairview Avenue. And you could. I mean, look at the railroad. Look at the ballast and the drainage ditch between the tracks is just unbelievable.
Oh, the Hudson.
Yeah, there you go. This was I believe this was 54 or 55, unless somebody could pick out a car that they recognized.
54 Chevy or
Yeah.
in front of the Hudson.
Yeah, I think it was 54. And look, if you look to the left, there's a golf station on the corner there.
Oh, yeah, way down there.
Way
Yep.
back there.
Yeah. Well, you remember in those days there was a gas station on every corner.
Every corner,
Right,
maybe
right,
two.
yeah. And if it wasn't a gas station, it was somebody's little market.
Yeah.
There's a photo I took, and you could maybe say, hey, that's like a modern photo, but this photo is already 40-some years old. But typical evening train to Atlantic City, half a dozen passengers would get off. Bud Rail diesel car, they were the last rail vehicles used down here. One more photo of the station. I like this because it's a pretty good view of the Rexall building. And Scholars Park, which I never was in there, I swear. I don't know anything. I wasn't there, I didn't do it. There's the Blue Comet, stopped at the Hammonton train station. There's that water tower, Greg. Yeah, not the typical engine, but you can see the cars are Blue Comet cars. My guess would be this is almost near the end. The Blue Comet ended in 1941. This is probably near the end of that operation. Yep. There's the same train leaving. The photographer just ran ahead of it. And check out the cars though. It's just fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
I like this because it has a phone booth.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Whoever thought you'd get excited about a photo that has a phone booth in it? No.
It's a metal one
I tell some of my younger employees, you went in there and you like dialed the phone and you had to put money in. They're like, no, you're kidding me. I was like, no, I'm not kidding you. Jeez, where the heck did we go? That's a photo I took. It's a time exposure, having a little fun there. You can see, I call it the ghost of the Hammonton station. But he moved and everything else was pretty, was standing still. But it's a time exposure. And I think the phone booth is still there. That's what's important. Yeah, phone booth. Phone booth. This is an overall view I took. It's a late afternoon in the fall. I liked it because, well, of course, there's a train in it, but there's vehicles from people that rode the train. And I think some of these cars were from people still working, maybe one of those factories that were on Front Street there. That's an old photo. Let's see. Hammonton Shoe Company. What do those other buildings say? I can't see it from where I am.
Yeah, shoes actually here, children's shoes. These two buildings
They're-
alternated.
Yeah, and I think they're going, but isn't that Stockton today? Stockton is in that building. Yeah, it's pretty incredible, really.
Kramer Hall.
Kramer Hall, that's it, thank you. And there's the old water tower. Hold on, a quick question, I should say. What was the name? I used to know this. There was a little bar on the corner there. DeLuca's, that's it. No, I didn't go there, I'm not kidding you. I think I was too young.
You were scholars.
DeLuca's, that's it. Yeah.
You must have been a young girl.
I was too young to drink.
I was gonna say, you must have been a young girl there at the ground.
This goes way back to CFR's good shoes.
Yeah, I was good shoes. Jeez. Well, a lot of commerce in Hammonton. This is a photo I took of the train going towards. Yeah, I liked it because it shows some of the automobiles and the Central Cafe, and the train's going real fast, and just a nice picture on a nice day. Yeah. Commuters at the Hammonton station talking to the conductor and the brakeman.
The phone booth for you.
The phone booth is still there, thank you, yes. Ruba Furniture is still there.
Bicycle in the bar.
There's a morning train to Camden, that's a Reading Pacific locomotive. And I think that might be part of the Lucas Bar on the right, am I right? Look, see that? I think that was the Lucas Bar.
Over here?
Yeah, in there somewhere, yep.
These are nasty.
They're still there.
Curbs?
Yeah, I believe they're still there, yeah. You know why? Because you couldn't dig them out of the ground. Yeah, I have a thing for snow and trains. I think it just makes everything look real clean and pretty. And
That's a freight train.
freight train from Atlantic City going to Winslow. That was 1981. You don't see them too much anymore, but there's something about a caboose on the end of the train. Even though it's not the little red caboose, it's still fascinating. Here's one of those comparison photos. This is the station area looking south, or looking east, I should say. The water tower's there. If you look down the track, this must have been a weekend. There's a whole bunch of commuter trains parked in the yard. You can see them. Yeah, you can see them on the track. And this is a comparison photo I took many years later. Go ahead, Greg. Same location.
Tony, was that water tower just for the trains?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, steam ended in November of '57, and it's fascinating. Greg and I were just looking at a photo. 1959, they tore it down. Yep. This is a real cool photo. It's obviously during a heavy snow, and I think this is Passmore Avenue. You can tell by the gas station on the right, but it looks like they're unloading mail off the train, and the
Like
trucks.
Railway Express.
Railway Express. I love those trucks. Always wanted to have one.
That was Joe Salona's guest.
Yeah, and it says on there, owned and operated by William Jacobs.
Right.
Those trucks were so neat. I love those trucks.
Gardeners Express.
Corners Express, there you go. Okay, so now we're looking a different direction. 1963, looks like a Cadillac sitting on the corner. There's the crossing watchman. See him sitting in there waiting for his alarm bell to go off. A Chevy Impala.
59 there, yeah.
What's that? A 60 Impala, I think. 60, 59. Okay.
Always, isn't it? My dad had
Not a big fan. In fact, his father died. Ford taxi.
Same location on the other side of the street. These are all. I tell you why these were taken. These were company photos, and they were making plans to do away with the crossing watchman and put automatic gates in. So that's why the railroad took all these different views, every crossing up and down the railroad. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's like a 62 Skylark wagon.
Bruno oil,
It's not a.
Bruno Oil Company. That's great.
62 or so.
thermometer and clock.
Yeah, that probably worked at that time. It's what's that on the right? A Plymouth.
That's a Plymouth Fury.
60 maybe. 61.
Yeah, this is a 60, 61, 62 right in there. Probably a little baby before.
Yeah. Great photos. Love these photos. Yeah, this is after they installed the automatic warning devices, but it's a good photo of the buildings in the background too. And Vernon Miller Auto Parts. Am I right?
Yes.
They're in a corner store.
Looking south, there's Salona's Texaco station and
Pontiac dealership too.
Yep,
correct?
yep. Pontiac dealership. Let's see, John Salona's Firestone, Henry's Shoes, just the mobile station right down the street.
Downs is Salona too. They're all brothers.
Yeah.
Right, exactly, yep, yep.
Yeah. It's Pontiac agency.
Yes, right.
This is at the station, and that's a real fast train. That's a Atlantic City Express. Oh, yeah. And if you look closely, there's a lady on the right, looks like she's holding a little child, baby on the right. No, keep going. Right in there, something. And that must be their baggage right there, or whatever. They're probably waiting for another train. Yeah, yeah, going the other way, right.
Say
right.
something. That bag is on the company.
It's a more modern day photo that I took. It's funny we say modern day, but that's already 40-some years ago.
That's the old blood car.
Yep. And there's a contrast when the Bud cars were kind of new, and check out the automobile behind the building. Yeah. So these were 6 of them were built in 50, and 6 of them were built in 51. So this has to be either 50 or 51. There's a good view of your water tower, Greg.
Yeah.
That, I think, is the Blue Comet. because the car says Central Railroad of New Jersey, but again, this must be near the end because they, the original engine was gone, the cars were no longer, cream color and blue and all that. But I remember going there with my grandfather, because like I said, he was related to a bunch of railroad guys, and I remember standing like at the bottom of that water tower and looking up, and it seemed like it was like, from a little kid's perspective, it seemed like it was a mile into the sky. It was just massive. It was massive even if you were an adult.
There's a picture over there when the water tower was taken down, on the ground over there.
That's the Blue Comet at the Hammonton train station, the only stop it made in South Jersey. And once again, that engine is still in existence in Baltimore. There's the real Blue Comet.
833.
Yep. There's C&P coat on the right, and look at the top of the building on the corner. It looks like there's a little like a porch. See
It
it?
does, a balcony.
Yeah, like a balcony. Keep going to your left, Greg. No,
Oh,
no,
no,
no. Yeah,
oh, right
yeah,
there.
yeah, right there. Yeah, yeah. Pretty neat. And these engines are parked, this is Front Street on the left. What they used to do was, my uncle was a hostler, and the hostler it was him and another gentleman I should say. They came to work at like 6 o'clock at night after all the commuter trains came in. Remember, they used to run commuter trains from Hammonton to Camden. There was like, at one time there was 6, and then they dropped to 5 and then 4. But you have to remember, at that time, there were a lot of people from Hammonton that worked at RCA, Campbell Soup, York Shipbuilding, Esterbrook Penn, all in that one little area. So the railroad ran trains from Hammonton right to Camden. There were quite a few people, but what they used to do is they used to go to work like around 6 o'clock at night, and my uncle and another guy, they used to uncouple the engines, turn them on the Y, back up, get water, couple them up to the train, so they were ready to go the next morning.
Keep the fire going.
Yeah, right. I remember my uncle saying that one of the first things he learned, like, was his first day on the job. The road foreman of engines came and showed up and said, "Okay, guys, whatever you do, don't let the fire go out.
No.
Do not let the fire go out. That's subject to dismissal." So they worked all night. There was, like I said, anywhere between 4 and 6 engines parked in the yard. You'll see them later. But that was their job, to keep an eye on the fire, bank the fire, make sure all the pressures were good, and keep the engines watered. Same location as another one of a modern freight train. That's crossing Line Street. You can see the water tower in the background. That's Atlantic City Express. And that might be, because of the type of equipment on the train, that might be some type of convention train. In those days, lots of conventions went to Atlantic City, and they went by rail.
The sleeper.
Yeah, exactly, yep, yep.
Racetrack.
Racetrack
the
train
horse-
too, yeah,
horse race
yep.
trains. Yeah.
All sorts of excursions in Atlantic City from all around the country. Atlantic City was the big vacation
Yeah.
and convention spot for the country.
This is another one of my favorite photos. This train has to be doing 80 miles an hour plus. You can see there's 2 engines, and this is a Shriners convention train to Atlantic City. See the cars? The cars are Chesapeake and Ohio, so this train must have came up from somewhere down south, and they probably put these engines on at Philadelphia. But for a while there, it was like my mom used to say, it was train after train after train after train. It didn't bother you. You got used to it. That's the way it was. Trains meant commerce.
Yep.
Same location, 1955. This was a famous train. This was the Nellie Bly. Train went from New York to Atlantic City. The train was pulled by an electric engine to Trenton, and then at Trenton they put the diesel on. But my grandfather used to take me. I remember him saying, "This is the Nellie Bly. The Nellie Bly is coming," and this train went through town as fast as that engine could run. I mean, the railroad was good for 80 some miles an hour. And you know what's interesting? Even though the employee timetable may have said, maximum authorized speed, 80 miles an hour, the old engineers that I used to know, and most of them are gone now, I used to say to them, I said, "So how fast did you come through Hammonton?" He said, "Tony, I'll tell you what, we came through as fast as that engine can go." He said, didn't mean anything. If the track speed was 80, we knew we were good for 90. So, like I said, all you had to do was stay out of the way, you know? That's the same location, that's Line Street. You can see how many tracks were there at one time. And that's a Philadelphia train. I took this photo this is kind of cool because it shows you the yard. I took this around 80, 81. I stood on the roof of a locomotive. I got permission. I asked the engineer, I said, would you mind if I took pictures? I don't care if you take it for a ride, which I thought about. But anyhow, there's the Y track on the right where they used to turn the locomotives. And the 3 tracks in the center, that's all your yard tracks. That's where at night and on weekends, those tracks would be filled with trains. It was a place to go. And the 2 tracks on the left, that's your northward main track and your southward main track. And like I said, I'm glad I took this because it gives you a good
Was that
over.
on Washington Street?
No, that's 11th Street.
Let me-
Washington Street would be on the right.
Now, if you go to the New Jersey Transit Station right now.
It's right there.
Yeah.
And
That's
look across the parking lot, we talked about this, but you will see the tree line that used to be the Y.
That's it. Yep,
You-
it's still
you
there.
will- You will
Yep.
see it's still very, very prominent. But the station is what, right about?
Everything.
there, so-
The only thing left is the track on the left. This is when you park your car or drive through that you're driving right where these tracks are.
So this is where the current track is now?
No, keep
No,
going,
way
keep going,
Oh,
keep
we're way
going.
down here.
Yeah.
No, keep going.
And that wall up
Oh,
against.
yeah,
That's the only, that's the main track right now.
So
Yep.
you're.
Everything's gone.
New
Yep.
Jersey
Yeah, so
Transit's
that's
down
the
in
parking lot
the,
today.
the
The
station.
station,
is
right,
there.
Station.
exactly. Yep,
That's all parking lot.
yep, yep.
That's the parking lot.
Okay, great.
Towards the train station.
The train station, right.
Already.
Yeah, here's a couple engines. Like I said, on evenings during the week and on weekends, there'd be 4, 5, 6 locomotives sitting there just steaming away. And my grandfather, like I said, I was fortunate enough to catch the tail end of steam, but he would park at Line Street, and we would walk down, and from a little kid's perspective, it was like a double-edged sword. It was like scared to death, but how cool is this? You know, it's like you were somewhere in the middle there, you know? And all I remember is, I can still remember this, as you walk past the engines, you could hear just a real, like they were breathing and you know, it's just neat stuff.
They're alive.
Sound of, yeah, alive, yeah.
There you are.
Yeah, there's the yard, and that building on the left is still there. I don't know what it's being used for, but you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 locomotives there, and they're all facing the right way. So this means they were all, except for one, they were turned on the Y and ready for the next morning.
That's great.
Thank you. There's another, there's a color slide of the yard with a couple commuter trains, and I don't know what that building is on the right, but it's long gone. I know that. It looks like some kind of part of a barn or something like that.
Sits up high.
I don't know who took this, but this is a great photo. It's from the tender of a steam locomotive, looking towards Line Street. It would be right in front of the engines, and these are a couple commuter trains laying over for the weekend. And like I said, the building on the right is still there, and then Porter's Garage. I'm not sure if it's in this photo, but it probably was there at that time, but you can't see it account of the smoke. But yeah, every Saturday and Sunday, just walk down to the track. There'd be plenty of action, plenty of activity. Also with the yard. The yard's one of my favorite places. I spent a lot of time there, and I'm kind of in favor of some of the photos that I've collected.
Already.
Yeah, Reading locomotives. Yeah.
This is unique that we have.
Yeah. There's the old building on Line Street. The front part of it was for the signal department, because a good friend of mine, Morris Lindsay, he worked there. And the front part, there was a divider like in the middle. The front part was for the signal department. The middle part was for train crews to go in and do their paperwork at the end of the day. And this little end right here was for the track department. And they had a little little track motor car. They used to go in and out of that door right there. And when they built the station, the new station, that was demolished. And a little red caboose. It's the same building. This is Line Street. It's an Atlantic City Freight. Same building, just a different angle. A few more photos of the yard. And this, hold on a minute, Greg. This is one of those photos. This is one of those photos where I took a photo probably 25 years later. I never saw this. I took a photo of a freight train parked there because I thought it was a cool photo. It looked good. And then I came across this photo. Go to the next one. Watch the comparison. It's like the same location. I was like, that was really neat. That's a freight that just came up from Atlantic City. More locomotives. That's the, pardon me, that's the VFW in the background. Okay. Now, this is another interesting photo, aside from the locomotives. That's the VFW before they had a fire.
Before the fire.
Right, and I guess it took off the top floors.
Top two floors.
Yeah, yeah, but that's what that is, really. But these are, whoever took these are like great photos. I mean, they're so clear for that era. More photos. VFW on the left. Okay. More trains in the yard. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 locomotives. It has to be definitely a weekend. Engines are just laying over, ready for the Monday morning commuter crush.
Hardly any trees going down.
Oh yeah, look, it's just great. A Reading locomotive, 2 Reading locomotives. This is the Y track. That's what it looked like. And like I said, every evening for year after year after year, take a locomotive, turn it around, go out the other way. Take another locomotive, turn it around, go out the other. I think I have. Keep going, Greg. I think there's a photo of a diesel in there. Yeah, there you go. Good contrast. Yep, RDC Bud Rail diesel car and a Reading locomotive, and more rail diesel cars. And they use them quite extensively on Hammonton, the Hammonton locals.
I want to tell them that how many?
Yeah, these 8 of these cars are at our railroad in Tuckahoe. Okay,
They only did 12, but Reading.
there are 12 of them, yes.
Seashore.
Yep, another train in the building on the right says Raleigh, something Raleigh on it.
Oh, yeah. Oops.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, some more trains in the yard. I put this in here because in 2007, it's hard to believe, we took members of the HSH for a train ride. So as we sit here tonight, Greg, I'm offering an invitation to you and the group. If you guys want to come and take a ride, maybe around Christmas, we'll give you a super, super great deal, which is better than a super great deal. But I don't know if anyone is here, is still here in the photos, but there's no names there, but like you can see.
Bill, did you
There's a
write
few familiar.
I know. I think Grace Patera's in there.
2007?
Yeah, it was a good turnout. So if you guys want to come out, we're going to offer it to you as,
Okay,
you
thank
know,
you. Yep.
yeah, very reduced rate.
Get together on a date.
Okay. It's another one of the Bud cars at Hammonton. Building on the left, like I said, is still there.
Now, was this pulling that? at
No,
the
no,
time?
they just,
parked?
that was a, yeah, there were two
Are they
two
capable
separate
of pulling
trains.
the?
Yeah, they are,
They
yeah,
are.
yeah.
They're 1,500 or less?
Burns up the transmission.
It does.
Yeah, the Bud company didn't recommend it, but the PRSL did it. Every once in a while, you'd see a train with 1 or 2 Bud cars on the end. This is a great photo, too. You can see the yard and you can see down the track, and it's an old Reading Pacific with a Bud car. Same locomotive. That's a freight engine off of it's a Reading I-8 280 consolidation, big powerful locomotive. The street is 11th Street. I'll tell you a quick story. If you look real close, in front of the locomotive, there's a house on a Harbor Road. Keep going, keep going. Yeah, you can see it right there. Let me tell you a story. That house is still there. The house is still there. So when I would ride my bicycle to watch trains, I would come down Walmer Street and cross right there and come down 11th Street. So somewhere around 1968, watching trains took on another new meaning for me. There was a girl that lived in that house. I had the biggest, I'll be honest with you, I had the biggest crush on this girl. The problem is, she never crushed on me. But yeah, you know what? It was kind of neat. She'd be out on the back porch just sitting there, and I'd ride on my bicycle. You know, I got this cool Columbia bicycle. I didn't have a swing, but and I kind of wave, and she just went back, and
That's all it was.
that's all it was. Just a wave. Yeah. But it made watching trains interesting. That's the other end of the yard, Reading Pacific on the commuter train. Here's one of those comparison photos. I took this when Amtrak was rebuilding the railroad for the new service. I guess this is somewhere around 86, 87, somewhere around there. Okay, so take a good look at this photo. Now we're going to go back about 30 years. Next.
Go back.
Same location.
Oh.
Same location. Three of the famous Pennsylvania Railroad passenger high-speed fast Pennsy K4 locomotives. I believe they had 425 of those locomotives, I believe. They were fast, they had 86-inch drive wheels, and they could pull the train faster than you could ever imagine. But here they are on Hammonton locals. Once again, I like this because it shows the back of the VFW.
Hey Greg?
Yeah.
Time check. It's 9 o'clock. We're gonna take a break, or how much more time do we have?
We're almost finished. We have
Okay.
maybe 5 minutes, if that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, want to go right through?
Yeah, yeah, we're almost there. I took this, it just shows like a lot of activity in the yard. There's a freight engine, there's a Bud car train, and there's a freight train there. This was somewhere around 1980, 81. Here goes a express to Philadelphia. Look at the length of that train. And the photographer would be standing right on 11th Street. Whitehall Laboratories, they were a big customer at one time, and I followed them back there one day just to take pictures, and they used to put the car right inside the building. The Costa,
I think that's
right under the Weymouth Road Bridge, or close to it, right?
Yep.
The Costa station, yep.
I have it.
Here's the Blue Comet, and I think that house is still there. The Weymouth Road Bridge would be almost right on top of the photographer. There's a house, it's either under the bridge or close to being under the bridge, but that's the Blue Comet heading towards Atlantic City.
8:33.
Mm-hmm. Same location. Many years later, I took that freight train. That's setting a car off at Suburban Propane. And that's the same location, Weymouth Road, that's a Philadelphia train, and the Weymouth Road Bridge as an identifier would be behind the photographer. Yep, right. Yep. Now, at the very end, I want to throw just a few in for the New Jersey Central because everybody loves the Blue Comet. I'm sure you've seen this photo. It's kind of got around it. But a friend of mine took that and he gave me a copy made from the original negative. But that's where the bridge is still there. It's got trees growing in it, and I believe that's the Elm School in the background. I think that's still there also. This is the only photo I've ever seen of the Blue Comet going across that bridge. And it's kind of, obviously it's a going away shot. So either the photographer couldn't get a shot of it coming, or he got there just in time. But I've seen freight trains go over that bridge, but this is the only photo I've ever seen of the Blue Comet. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed watching as much as I enjoyed showing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Thank you very much.